So when you fail something, it's actually a gift, right? When you lose, you can actually be winning. That can actually be a win. And it's hard to kind of wrap your mind around it, but I've been thinking about this lately. Just got out of the gym. So I'm sure you can tell I got a nice pump going on right now. But basically, I've been thinking about how every time something goes wrong in life, right? Every time something goes wrong, you set a goal and it doesn't work out, right? You fail at that goal. Every time you have some sort of competition or something that you're trying to win and you end up losing, actually, if you think about it, it can actually be turned into a win. You can actually become better from that. And obviously people will be like, oh yeah, like, losing or failure is like all part of it. But if you really think about it, if you aren't at the skill level yet to be able to achieve what you want to achieve, right? Let's say your goal is, I don't know. Let's just say like your goal is to make $1 million a year for some weird reason. Okay. I don't know why you'd want that much money, but maybe it is. In order for you to get there, you have to become a new person, right? You have to transform yourself into a person who can actually achieve that. So the thing is as you go along trying to achieve that, you're going to be constantly failing, running into roadblocks. But what's so cool about that is that every time that happens, if you take the time to review why that happened, you can actually figure out what it was that got in your way and then just maneuver around it, right? Like for an example, for me recently, I've been on like a cut for a while, and I've dealt with plateaus before, but I've been cutting for a while now, and calories getting low, and I ran into a plateau, and it was really difficult because I was trying to figure out, I'm like, dude, what is going on? Why can't I figure this out? I ended up finding out by searching and by looking things up and researching and testing and experimenting with a lot of different things, what was going on, right? And then I overcame that plateau and continued on my cut. So that's just an example of how if you keep failing at something, it can be really frustrating and you might want to give up. Like there's times literally where I'm just like so frustrated, like with the goals I'm trying to achieve, you're trying to achieve these goals and it seems like you just keep running into a wall over and over and over again. And the thing is, what's important is that if that keeps happening, if you keep failing or if you keep losing, you can turn that into a win if you actually take the time to examine what the hell is going on here, right? Because if you keep just running into that wall over and over and over again, obviously you're not going to get anywhere. You're just going to keep doing it. Well, but the great thing about it is that that's feedback. And so we need feedback. Everybody needs feedback. So on your way to achieve whatever you want, you got to have that feedback, and you have to take that feedback and really examine it. Take the time to examine what is going on. Why do I keep failing? How can I take this failure and, turn that into a victory? Because if there was no way that you could fail or lose, then there'd be no way that you could win, right? If you can't lose, then you can't win. So life would be extremely boring. So our only option is if we want to achieve certain things in life and we want to get what we want, we have to accept failure and losing as part of the process. But it's almost like a gift, really, if you think about it. It's almost so much of like a benefit that it's almost like the cheat code, honestly, like losing. So if you lose at something or you fail at something, it's essentially a cheat code because it's feedback from reality being like, no, like you're off base. You're not going to be able to achieve what you're doing or what you want this way. And so when you really examine that and you switch up your technique or you learn like a new piece of information, this is why I'm always so into like learning about things, like reading books, obviously listening to podcasts, content, like educational videos, because especially around like the topics like your goals specifically, it gives you that extra information you need to be able to overcome those roadblocks. And a lot of times you can skip a lot of roadblocks just by, watching videos like that and listening to those kind of people because they've already been where you want to go, right? If you can find someone who's gone where you want to go and they're already there, it makes sense to follow what they're doing and follow their advice if you can learn from them and it actually works out, like you actually like learning from them. It makes sense to follow their advice because they've already been through all the failures. I mean, everyone's going to be a little bit different, right? I mean, the things you might experience on your journey could be a little bit different from what they've gone through. But my point is just to say failure and losing is actually a gift. And actually, if you're losing, then that means you're on the path to winning. Because if you're not losing and you're not failing, you're not taking risk, right? You're not getting out there and taking action, taking risk. The more you're failing, if you're in a position right now, kind of like I am, where you're really going after some of your goals this year and you really want to get them achieved, you keep like failing, right? You keep failing at certain things. That means that you're taking risk. That means that you're putting yourself out there. That means that you're actually deciding to go forward, right? And pursue what you want. And you're willing to put a lot on that, put it all on the line in order to win. And so you're going to be met with failure. And a lot of times it might be extremely frustrating trying to get through these points. But if you give up, that's where you lose, right? You can't lose if you don't give up. If you go after something, you fail, and you get that feedback, you can then iterate upon that. You can then change the direction you're heading in or alter one little thing. A lot of times I notice it's just one little piece of the puzzle that you're missing. One little new tactic or one blind spot that you had that's kind of holding you back. And so that's happened to me numerous times this year. Even with just like my YouTube channel and stuff, as we're growing and growing a bigger audience, it's like, there's points where you just you're not really growing at all, but then, you make a few changes, you make a few improvements, and the next thing you're growing like rapidly. So there's a lot of different areas that this applies to in life. It's basically everything. But my point is really just to say, don't look at failure as, I'm not meant to achieve this, right? Like if you're going after a goal right now, I don't know what some of the goals you have for this year are. I made a previous video about what I'm working on, which is like building my personal brand. I've got like fitness goals that I'm trying to achieve this year as well, health related goals. So if you're trying to achieve stuff like that or anywhere, kind of near that, there's a lot of new skills that you need to learn in order for you to be successful. There's a lot of new things that I'm having to learn, having to test out, having to like work on, your social media and your websites and everything. And it can be really overwhelming and frustrating when it's not working out or you feel like you're not making the progress that you want to make. But if you actually stay the course, you're going to make it. You know what I mean? You can't not make it if you stay the course and you keep iterating, you keep improving, you keep going, because so many people will give up, right? So many people at the first sign of failure, at the first sign of struggle are going to give up. And maybe that's been you. Maybe you've been struggling and every time you hit a failure, you just feel devastated and depressed and you just like give up, That used to be I was probably more like that too at one point, but over time, as you achieve your goals and like you kind of learn how to have a little bit more, I don't want to say discipline. Discipline's not really the right word, but over time you kind of learn and understand that if you keep pushing, you keep improving, you can't not win, right? Like for example, I'll take my YouTube channel again as an example because it's just an easy example to use. When I first started my YouTube channel, when I uploaded videos, right, you get maybe, I don't know, a few views every video if you're lucky, right? Some guys, there's literally some people who will upload a YouTube video and it goes viral, their first video, right? I wouldn't necessarily want that, because then from that point, if on social media, when you go viral with your first video or your second or third video, it kind of puts you in this mindset of like, oh, the next one is going to be viral. And then when it bombs, right? Because that was just such a huge part of it was just luck in the algorithm picking it up, because you haven't developed the skills yet, then you kind of feel depressed, right? And you might quit. I've actually seen this happen with a few people on social media where their first posts literally go viral. Next thing you know, you see them posting like for a few weeks afterwards, and then like they just stop because they're getting like, 10% or 1% of the views that they originally got. So anyways, my point was that, when I first started my channel, a few views here and there, nothing major, but I continued to stick with it. I continue to stay consistent, uploading every single week. There's times where I missed a week or so here or there, and I keep trying to improve my ability across all areas, on social media. And what happened? Well, eventually, after all that time and putting in all that time, eventually one of my videos, blew up, and then I got monetized. So it's like, you literally cannot be going after something you want in life, failing, losing, taking that feedback from reality, iterating upon it, improving, and then continuing and being persistent. Bro, there's just no way you can't win. So yeah, man, I just want to share that thought because I was just thinking about that recently, just how so many people quit at the first sign of failure. They think, oh, it's not for me. And like I said, I made that other video a long time ago about how I believe the universe and reality really tests you to see, is this what you want? When you put it out there, oh, I want to be able to do this. I want to have my own business. I want to, get really, I want to build a lot of muscle, or I want to get ripped or whatever. I think that all the goals that we have, even just academically, anywhere in life, really, any goals you have, I think the universe, reality tests you to see, do you really want that? What are you willing to do? How much are you willing to sacrifice? Are you willing to do this and overcome these challenges? Because if you think about it, there's a lot of other people out there who want what you want. So if you're not willing to stick through it and see failure as actually a gift, as a sign that you're headed in the right direction, but that you just need to make some tweaks, some improvements, you're not going to last long. So really just a reminder to myself and to you out there, if you need it, that failure is a sign that you're on the right path. Failure is a sign that you're taking action, you're taking risks, and that losing is part of winning, right? Every time you're losing, if you take that information, that feedback, and apply it, you're actually winning because you just got more information. So yeah, that's really all I wanted to say today. I finally set up a newsletter for the channel. I set up a list. So any of you that are interested, jump on that list, because as we know with social media, especially with kind of this sort of space where you might be bringing up topics that, the established system doesn't particularly like. I'm not really too extreme or anything on anything, but as time goes on, the different topics and things that I'm talking about will change, and I'll be talking about things that maybe, aren't so friendly to the algorithm. So hop on that list, and that will be the way that we can communicate with each other if, God forbid, something were to happen to my social media. I've seen this happen to so many people at this point. And social media is just not safe, right? It's a great place to start. It's a great place to create content, but you really want to have your own newsletter and mailing list, so that you can stay in contact with the people who are actually interested, So yeah, if you're interested, hop on that list. I got it. I think it's down in the description. Check that out. Hop on there, and we'll see you in the next one.